Okay, everybody, here we are again. We're going to look at this ease assembly room model, and I'll give you some tips on getting this accomplished. It's not super easy, but I think that you can do it. I'm going to open up ease 4.3 here. You have that icon. And when we get there, I'll maximize this to this screen. And when we get there, I think I'm going to go to Start Working. And I'm going to create a project. I'm going to create an empty project. And I think I know what I'm going to call this. Coffeen Assembly Room 2. I made an Assembly Room 1 before, and so I want this to be different. Put my last name first so it identifies that it's mine. Like that. And we're working on the C drive in the ease projects 40 location. So all this is fine. I'll just say create. And do I want to create it? Yes. Okay, so I'm ready to go. First thing I want to do is, as you know, modify data. And we'll do that here. Goodness, I'm sorry. This is 7, and I have to go down here and find it, and there it is. Now, if we've set everything up right, you can see the axes, the minus y-axis this way, x plus x plus z minus z, etc. We can see that, and this will help us lay out something we always have to start with. I always start with something that gives me an anchor. And I'm going to start with the front wall and just create the whole front wall of this assembly room. And we know that it is 30 feet tall, and it is in width, looks like 22 plus 18 on either side of x equals 0, so that looks like about 40 feet. So 22... 32, 40 feet. So, I'm going to add some vertices just to get started. I'm just going to insert a vertex. I'll insert it somewhere, anywhere. Well, now I'm going to give it some dimensions. I'm going to set the x dimension. I'm going to work on the minus side here. I always do that. I'm going to minus 40. And the y value is going to be 0. It's not going to go anywhere down the y-axis. And the z value will make it the top of that front wall, which is 30 feet. So we can say, okay, but nothing shows up. We know this. You've all worked on this. So if we go to full view here, we're now establishing some scale. Oh, I goofed up somehow. Gee. Well, I can always go to Edit and undo Insert Vertex. Gee. Let's go back here. What did I do wrong? I'm going to set, Z I put up in the air, so I want to put it down here low first. And what I did was all right, but I'll try inserting this vertex again somewhere. And the x value is going to be minus 40. We'll make the y value 0. Let's make the z value 0 as well. And say OK. And go to full view here. And there's our points. And there's nothing down here. I wonder why that is. The symmetric, I ought to see a vertex down here too. Well, that's because I don't have the vertices on. Now I've got the other one down here. Now I know that this wall is 30 feet tall. I'm looking at some hard copy of this. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I can click on this guy and do a right mouse click and duplicate this vertice up in the air 30 feet. Z30. Say OK. OK. I see it on this side, but I haven't established the scale quite right yet, so I'll go to full view, and there's my whole front wall. Well, I'm going to carve this up later on because there's a stage in this wall, but this will get me started. So now I can create a face. I'm going to look at the inside face. That'll be yellow, and I'm going to create it in a clockwise direction. It'll automatically orient it correctly, like this. Now notice that it says, I always pull this apart here, it says, look, there's only one place I can go, so only one thing I can do, it makes this vertical line for us, and we can take this guy over here and create our face. So we create the face. Now, that looks just fine. You may say, why waste time rotating this face? Well, if this face was not a plane, we could see that right away, or if it was some screwball shape. Well, what I need is some materials here. I might as well get some right now, and on page 2, I have sheet 2 of the drawings. I have some materials here. And so I'll create a database. And we'll just browse, and we want to go to common materials. I think we have it set that way. So I can look here and see, well, metal roof deck is the first one. That's item 1. I can go down here to metal roof deck 2, like this. And I believe that's a plain corrugated roof deck. And I can just say add. It's there. Mineral fiber lay-in ceiling board should be, I think it's called lay-in ceiling board. And here it is. Using the control key, I can pick some others and put them over there all at once. 2 layers of 5/8 chipboard we're going to use. So I'll find it next. Gypsum wall board 2 times 5/8. Select it. And we have 2-inch sound-absorbing insulations, another material we're going to use. 2SA insulation, click it. We've got a stage floor, stage floor. And I think it's called just stage floor, I thought. Yes, stage, well, here it is, stage 4. Select it. And fabric-faced glass fiber wall treatment. Be up here under 2SA wall. Not this one, it means more airspace. 2SA wall right here. And upholstered chairs unoccupied. I think that's tells you the code here. UP, starts with UP. Upholstered chairs unoccupied, UNO. I can choose that one. And gym floor carpet. It's really skinny carpet-like material that they use on gym floors sometimes. And so here it is, gym floor carpet. And heavy glass. So I think that's called glass heavy. And here it is, glass. Glass heavy means it's not window pane. And glass heavy right here. And we can add all that. And here's our database. We've got it done. Now we can be adding our materials as we build this model. So I'll close this guy. And this wall, well, all the walls really are chipboard. All walls, item 4, 2 layers, 5/8 chipboard, except otherwise noted. So it is chipboard. Good. Start right out, just right, and say OK. And if I maximize this, you can look down here and see gypsum wallboard, 2 layers, 5/8. That's this material right there. Now, the floor, we could add the floor right now. That would be handy. It's a flat floor. Again, we have to carve it up for that back portable seating area later, but we could do that. And on a diagonal, this floor is 79 2 3/4 inches. Geez. Well, we've got to have tenths of feet, so we've got to figure out what that means. It's actually 79 feet. But if we're going to move it out there to its position, I don't know how many. We don't need to know the angle really here because we know how much wider it is in the back than the front. And so we could use our junior high school calculator, which I'll get out here, and we could say 2.75 divided by 12 is 0.23 feet. So 79.23 feet. If we made it 79, we'd be about right. So we could simply take this point right here and duplicate it in the minus y direction, 79.23 feet. A right mouse click says, what do you want to do? Duplicate. We don't want the z to go anywhere to begin with. We're going to do the floor. It's 0, flat floor. But the y is going to be minus 79.23 feet. Pretty close. Say, okay. Okay. And now we can, again, look at that. There it is. Now, if we simply create a floor and then move this out however far it needs to go, which we can figure out, that'll work fine. I mean, we could move it out there now. We're going to find we need some other vertices up here to add to this face if we make it now, but we can certainly do that. So the back of the hall is a total of what? 11. It's 11 plus 35. 11 plus 35 plus 30 and plus 16, 92. If we divide that by 2, that's 46. And that means that it goes out 6 feet on either side. In other words, if we were to take this point and move it over here 6 feet in the minus x direction, we'd have it in the right place. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to displace this point. I'm going to displace this point over minus 6 feet in the minus y direction. So I'll do that now. Displace and minus y, minus x 6 feet. I just want to displace it over there. I'm going to go minus 6 feet. And we'll say, okay, well, that moved it to the right place. Now we could create this floor, even though we're going to have to work with it later. So let's do that. This gives us good anchors to work with. We're going to insert a face, and we'll do it in a clockwise direction. And so we'll go up like this, and then over here, and back over here. Now we have our face created, and the question is, what material is it? Well, it looks like it's 8. We have portable seating, but we can paste that on later. So it's item 8, which was gym carpet. So let's change this material right here to our gym floor carpet right here. Okay, there's our floor. Well, we're moving along really well here. So we need to probably work on the stage up here. That would be good. We could add the ceiling right now, and it's just a flat ceiling. And We could do that by simply putting a vertex up here, and then, why don't we just do that? We could take this vertex right here, and we know it's up 30 feet to the ceiling, so we could duplicate it, not get rid of the Y stuff, and in the Z direction, we'll take it up 30 feet. Just like this. Okay. There we are. Now we have our roof, and we could make it anytime we liked. We could just do that right now. Let's make a roof here. Now we're doing, this is an outside. We're looking down on this roof. That's outside. So if we click here and go in a counterclockwise direction, we will have made our symmetrical roof here, like that. Create a face, yes. But now this is metal deck type 2, metal roof 2. Okay. Okay. We have walls we can create now. We do have some glass in this wall, but we can paste it on there later. That's easy to do. So we could, in order to get a better feel for all this, we could go ahead and add a wall here. Let's add this wall, and we'll do it in a clockwise direction because it's an inside. We're looking at the inside of this wall here, like this. Create that face, and it happens to be chipboard. So it's 2 layers of 5/8 chipboard. We can say okay, and it is. Says so down here, and we can say okay. And we have a face over here too, looking at the outside. So there's our basic room. Let me help you with this stage back here. It's kind of tricky to do. We know that we're going to, the stage is in, 18 feet on either side. It has a X dimension, the edge of it, 22 feet. It's 44 feet wide. So, well, we could create a little surface here that's below the stage, the apron of the stage, but we don't want this wall here because we're going to carve this up. So we could get rid of the face, just delete it, but where it is stays there because we have the roof added. Now notice this line went away down here. We'll make that in a minute. So here's our floor, and we know in this floor down here we have to have a vertex, which is on either side in 22 feet. It actually has an X dimension of minus 22 or plus 22. And we can add that in this surface. The vertex has to be in all adjoining surfaces, so we get a closed model. I can do a right mouse click here, and I'm going to say vertex on face margin. And when I do, I get this little, you see that X there? Well, I know that it wants to be at about minus 22, and I'm going to move my cursor way down here. Way down here, this stuff shows where the cursor is. And I'd like it to be minus 22 about, but I can always edit it, so I'll just put it somewhere there. And it's not quite right. It's actually, if I wanted to see what it was, I could select it here and do an F4. F4 is always properties, and it says is at minus 22.33. Well, why don't I just fix that? I'll make it minus 22. Say, okay, now it's in the right place. Now, I know that the lip of the stage, the apron of the stage, is up 2 feet off the floor. It's not a very tall stage. What if I took this guy and I duplicated him vertically, Z 2 feet? Okay. All right, that's done. Now I can see I've got a makings of this stage apron. You know, if I ever want to zoom in, I can just come over here and zoom in like this. I can see things better. And then if I want to move the model, if I do a Control and a left mouse, I get the hand, the move hand, and I can get this over centered. I can see it a little better now. That's good. So I think I'll make a face here. And this will be an inside face from here to there, to there, to there, and back to here. Create that face. And we could make it chipboard or wood or whatever. We can just leave it chipboard. Okay, there it is. And now we also have a stage floor. And we could add that stage floor now, and we know that it's in 4 degrees. Well, what if we went to this guy and said, let's duplicate this guy. The stage is 25.5 feet deep. And if I say right mouse click, duplicate, I could use these polar coordinates. Now, the horizontal angle first place, let me say the vertical angle, it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be 0. And the distance is going to be 25.5. 25.5. And the horizontal angle, well, I'm never quite sure. I gave you a PDF file which talks about this. I don't want to go open it up right now, but you can see it right away. Turns out that this direction is 0 degrees. 0. And I think this comes around like this, like a compass rose. I'm guessing. We'll find out in a minute. And it's not 180 degrees. That would be this direction, but 4 degrees less. So 176 degrees, perhaps. Let's try that. The horizontal angle of 176. Let's see where it goes. Say OK. I think it went in the right direction. Let's say OK for now. We can always change it. Let's look at a plan view to see if it worked right. Oh, yeah. That's in a little bit from this one. Well, as a matter of fact, it has a, if we just did an F4 right here, we could see its x-coordinate is minus 20.22 feet. Okay, see what is this one? It's minus 22. So yes, it's in there 4 degrees. That puts these walls out of parallel by 8 degrees to stop flutter echo. Let's go back to our axiometric view. What if we just went ahead and made this floor right now? It gives kind of a handle. So I'm going to create a face. I can also just type F for face and make this in a clockwise direction. Here to here to here and back. And now I have the face, but it's a stage floor. There, it's wood. Okay, okay, okay. Good. Now the back wall is easy. It's 16 feet tall from this point. It's up 2 feet. It's up 16 more. I'll duplicate this guy in the x direction 0, and the y direction 0, but the z direction 16. There it is. Okay. Okay. Now I have the back wall of the stage. I'm making some progress here. So I think I'll make a face here again. I've got the vertices there. Type F. And I create an inside face, the back of the stage. Here, like this. And over to here, it's still symmetric. Create the face. Sure. And let's make it chipboard. 2 layers of 5/8. Okay. Okay, and it is. Well, we're getting along here pretty well, but we've got a proscenium opening here. Several ways to handle this situation. Let me get everything on the screen here, full view. We've got an opening here. In other words, we've got some walls over here. And one way to handle this would be to divide up this area here, the side proscenium wall, if you will. And we know it extends straight up from here. Now there's going to be some points going out this way to make this kind of funny ceiling here. But what if we know where this guy is? Right there. And if we wanted to cut this wall, that's at minus 22 in the x direction. We don't have a face here, but we know that that vertex has to be here in the roof if we're just going to make this little proscenium wall. So again, we could go to this business of vertex on face margin. And here's our vertex. And about minus 22 somewhere. I'm looking down here at there's minus 22.31, looking down at the bar at the bottom of the screen, a little bit to the right of center. But I'd really like it to be 22. So if I select it and do an F4 would let me change it to minus 22 feet, even. Say, okay, there we go. Now I could create a wall here. And then add this first starting point for this wall to it. That would make some sense. I could also add that point right now. That point where this all begins is, 16 feet from this point. It is simply 16 feet up. If I put a vertex here, I could make a wall that had that vertex in it, and then I could start adding these guys using that 4-degree slope. So when did I do that? I'll take this point and duplicate him up 16 feet. That must be what I did last time, so I'll say, okay. Okay. Now, that should be at the same height as this one. If we're in doubt, we could always look at a side view. Well, it looks like it is. Go back here. Now I could create a wall here, but I have to include all of these vertices in that wall. So let's add a wall, F, start here, and do an inside clockwise thing. Could start anywhere. And over here, good, create the face, yes. Chipboard, yes, okay. Now we have the proscenium wall added on both sides of our model. There it is. I wonder if we have a vertex here that's not quite right. See that little jog there? Let's see where this guy is. Oh, he's at 3.1 feet. I don't know why. Let's do an F4 here. And not that it'll matter, but it's really Z0. Why it's where it is, I don't know. Okay, that looks better now. So here I have my proscenium opening. And the ceiling begins at this point. Now there is then a surface right here, a face. Well, we could make that face here. Let's do that, F. And this is an inside face again, start anywhere. Here, to there, to there, to there. Create that face, yes. Chipboard, okay, done. Now we have the ceiling here to add, and there's several ways to do this, but I think I'm going to show you the simplest. The first thing is we have a little flat panel in here, and it's back 1.5 feet, minus 1.5 feet in the, or plus 1.5 feet in the y direction. What if I duplicated this guy, but I don't want him to go straight back. I want him to go back at this 4-degree angle. That was the 176 degrees. So I'm going to duplicate this guy, but I'm going to use polar coordinates. The vertical angle I'm not going to change because it's flat there. and the distance is 1.5 feet, 1.5, and the horizontal angle is 176. We did before. We say okay. Now say all right here, and we've got this guy. Let's make this a little bigger so we can see it, and do a control and a left mouse and move this down. Let's create a face here while we're at it. We just go here. Now we're looking at the outside of a face, the top of it. In other words, it's out in no man's land. There, to there. It was covered up by that number, and it's chipboard. It's okay. Well, this is now pointing right back to where that corner is. Now we got to go up in the air and back 3 feet. It's still on this. We don't know the distance here. But we could go from the other end now. I go back to this point, and we have a ceiling that is, well, for all practical purposes, over there 21 feet. It's a tad more, but let's not worry about it. And so we could duplicate this guy, and it's up 2 feet, isn't it? So let's again duplicate. This time, let's just make the distance 21 feet, even though it's just slightly more than that. And the vertical angle is up. Might need to use a little trigonometry here. It's up 2 feet and 21 feet. And so if we want the angle, we could look for the sine of the side opposite over hypotenuse. 2 over 21. That'll get us pretty close. And I'm looking for my junior high calculator, which I had laying right here, and which I immediately lose every time I do this. And so now I don't know where it is. Here, it's right in front of me. You can hear me clicking around here. So, if I say 2 divided by 21 equals, and I want the angle, the sine of that is 1. So what I want is the angle whose sine is that. So let's do that again. 2 divided by 21, 0.09, and the sine of that angle is, what do I want? Sine minus 1? 2 divided by 21. That's up about 5.5 degrees. So up about 5.5 degrees. So our vertical angle is 5.5 degrees. So it'd be 5.5. Now our horizontal angle isn't this any longer because we're going in the opposite direction. This is 0 degrees, so I think it's minus 4 degrees. We'll find out. I'm going to make it minus 4 and see what happens. Say OK. And there's that point. If we say OK, and then if we look at a plan view of this, like that, oh boy, it's right on that line. That's our floor line. Looks like we did it exactly right. If you look at that PDF on using polar coordinates, I think you'll see that right away. We'll go back over here. Now we can create this wall over here. Gee, That's pretty handy. We did that all right. We cheated just a little bit on this 21 feet, but very little. We could have figured that out, but it's worth it. So now I'm going to go to create the wall again, and inside I can start anywhere. Here, to there, to there, to there, down to here, over to there, and up again. I'll create the face. It'll be chipboard. Okay, created one on this side. Now we've done everything. Oh, by the way, as we're going along here, we should save all of this. And every now and then do an F6. I just did. And you'll see a little blue border down here on the main ease icon. So, what we need to do now, we don't have a ceiling in here. We do have this surface, all right. That's a face. So, we're again going to look at the outside of this guy going across here. So let's do insert the face and make it counterclockwise. What if I did it wrong? I'll make it clockwise like this, and it's going to turn out to be yellow, and I know I want it white because I'm looking at the outside of it. And say okay, there it is, yellow. Right up here is an icon that says invert selected face. Yes. Now it's right. And now I have this face back here that's the top of the stage. So I can say face again. And this one again, I'm looking at the, I'll do it right this time, counterclockwise, looking at the outside of it. And back over to here. And create the face. Okay, I just did. Wow, the stage is finished. Ain't that neat? Let's see, let's go back to full view here, and there's our model so far. Now, when you add this, I'm going to leave this to you, I think, to add this room on the back here. You're going to have to carve up this face, which isn't there yet. That's probably good. We do have the walls. Yeah. Just so I save this stage, I'm going to do an F6 again. I should have been doing that all along. But we have a window to add in here. Now, we know where that window is, and we can paste it on this wall. So, what we want to do is add a vertex in this face, because that's where it is, and if we use the top of the window closest to the proscenium, that's over 3.5 feet and up 20 feet, 17 plus 3. So in this wall, somewhere up here is where we want to add this guy. And we know it's at looking at these, at where our cursor is down here, we can come up here and say, well, we can select this face at a kind of the right point here and then edit it. You'll pardon our phone ringing here, but I think our daughter just called. I should have shut the phone off. I'm at home, but Joanne will get that. And so I'm going to just click somewhere here. Then I'll add that first point there. So I'm going to do an F3. I'm sorry. I'm going to do a right mouse click, and then I'm going to put vertex on the face. Bonk. But I can edit it. Now I'm not going to pay any attention to its X dimension. That's correct. It's in the face. But the Y and the Z I'll set. It's back 3.5 feet in the minus Y direction. And in the Z direction, we said it was up 20 feet. Like that. Okay, there it is. Perfect. What we really want to do now is in this same face add one down here. But before we do that, we can get this guy straight down here. We could simply say, let's duplicate him down here. The window's only 3 feet deep. We could say duplicate, and in the, let's make all of use Cartesian coordinates now, 0, 0, and 0. Let's take him down a minus 3z. Minus 3. Say OK. Excellent. Now we want one at the other end. We can do the same thing. We know that that glass is, and I didn't give you a dimension, but it happens to be 3.5 feet off the other end, too. You can sort of see that from the drawings. You could scale it. But so this dimension is minus 79.23. And actually, that really ought to be 79, shouldn't it? We made it, but if we brought it here 79 and just brought that wall out, this whole wall back here is at 79 feet. Well, it doesn't make much difference. We could select the face here, and we don't have a face, so we could just simply edit these guys just to make it easy. We can edit them all, do an F4, and change this just to minus 79. OK. And this one the same way, F4, minus 79. Since I'm doing this as we go along, I haven't rehearsed this at all. This is why these things happen like this. 79, that's OK because it's still symmetrical. But notice what we did up here in the front. We added vertices over here for a window. But by golly, there's no glass on that side of this room. Only on this side. This side actually backs up to another space. This is to the outside. So we need to take the symmetry off. We're going to have to do that to build that back room anyway because it is not symmetrical with the rest of the room. It's off by a little bit. So with nothing selected, if I do a right mouse click, I get room data. And it says the room is open. That's fine. We won't close it until we get everything finished. But it says it's symmetric. Let's take the symmetry off by taking the check mark out of this box, room symmetric. Say OK. So do you really want to do it? Sure. This is a simple model. It's now not symmetric. I can then delete these guys. I click delete P27 and click on this guy. Delete this guy. I didn't want him over there. I'm only going to add him in this wall. So 3.5 feet in down here from 79 feet would be, what, 75.5 is where I want to put this other, in this wall, I'm going to put another vertex down here. So, again, a right mouse click, vertex on face, not face margin. And I'm just going to where it is here. The x value we know that I'm not going to change it. It's in the face, and that's the angle from. It's not parallel to the y-axis of the room, but its y value, way the heck down here. It's, what did I say? 79, 75.5 minus 75.5. And its z direction is up in the air, the same as the front there. It's up 20 feet. So we'll say plus 20. Say OK. And then I can, now I've got the other corner. Now I can duplicate this guy down 3 feet, just like I did before. It saved that. It remembered because keep is checked. Say OK. Now I have the vertices for my glass. I'm going to add a face between these vertices. So I'm going to start by adding a face. I'll just make it an inside face. I'm going to modify it here some, like this. This is my glass now. There, we'll create it. Now, this face, it has two sides in a minute. I'm going to make it a two-fold face because it has a front side and a back side. I'm going to set the material as glass heavy on the face side and also the rear side. That makes the model look better when I render it. And I'm going to coat it on this face right here. So I have to know the number of that face. Well, I can go over here and select it like this. Oh, it's F3. Okay. So I can go back and get this guy here. And let's do an F4 and fix this. Oop. I didn't remember it, twofold, because I didn't say apply. This is heavy glass. I have to do this again. Sometimes this happens. This is heavy glass. Okay. And it's a coat of F3. There. Now, I'm coating it on there because I don't want the wall behind it to be part of the room. The glass is the room. Here. It's the wall. Okay? Say OK. Now I have an orange face there because a twofold face, the face of it is orange and the back side of it is blue. I'm going to rotate the model around. You see it's blue? So now I've added that. You need to add this non-symmetrical stuff back here. Symmetry's off. And I think I'll leave that for you to do. I'm simply going to do an F6 here. F16, not encoding face. Well, maybe it is now. Let's see, let's do another F6. Somehow I didn't get it there. Looks like it's all right now. We can do it. Let's check that. F4. I don't know why it wasn't coded. Now it's a code of properly. It's a twofold. Whether it's the shadow cast or not makes no difference. Say OK. Looks like my glass is in the face now. I'll do a plan view here. Oh, it's when I move that point, it wasn't quite in this face. If you get close, you can move it in there. If you don't get close to start with, it won't move it in, but it did this time. That's fine. And so look at a plan view and full view here. And yes, there's our glass there. Everything's lovely. Okay, so there's our model so far. I'm going to do an F6 again and save it. When I do that, I can close the edit face window if I like. Looks like I didn't get it closed to start with, so I'm just going to say cancel that window. And I can always close this window now. And I'm going to save my project. It's already saved, but I like to do a double click twice there on Save Project, and it's OK. So now I've saved this project. Let's take a look at it. I think I'll just close here. And I'm going to go to Public Documents. There. And here. Let's get this up where we can see it. And let's see, I don't want this. That's another drive I have hooked on here. So what I want is local disk C, like this. And then I want users here, and public, and public documents, East 40 data, projects 40, it's in here. And now, if I maximize this, we can see it better. Now it's called Assembly Room 2 right here. Let's see what we got. Well, we have our room data file, but a bunch of others too. And I expect there's nothing there in the archive folder. So I could simply take this guy, move it to my desktop, that whole folder, and here it is. And that would save all this stuff. So I'm going to move it over here this time. There it is. Now I'm going to come back and use all of this. Well, here's my East 40 data, projects 40. What if I just take this guy now, and I'll move him back. I'll move it here. There it is. Gee. Now what do I do now? I can go to the FRD file. I can click on it. It'll open it automatically. I can edit the room. I can modify the data. And again, this all goes in the back. There's my model back again. Wow. That works pretty good. I'm going to end this now. And I hope that this helps you with this model. I'd like you to pack the model, and it won't pack right here now. You can always tell, is it available for packing? If I go back over to, let me minimize this guy here. And if I go to here, and to there, I should be able to pack the model, and I might be able to, even with it not finished. Let's see if I can. What happens when I say I want to do that, it's putting a window behind all this. If I wait long enough, it'll come up here and say, switch to something or other. Or I can move this there. Action not be completed. Switch to, and switch to, get this out of the way. Well, all right, I can save it here as a PPJ file. I guess I can now. And it's going to wind up in this archive folder. Say save. Okay. So now I have packed the project and saved it, except there's still one thing missing. Is this little guy right here. Do I want to minimize all base files? No, because I want to include all of the wall stuff that I put in there, not just that I used. I'll take that check mark out. Include cluster components. We have none, so it doesn't make any difference. I could have a zip file here or just a PPJ file, which either one's all right. I'll make a PPJ file, just say OK. And this tells me what I did. OK, now I can close this and save the project. Close this guy. Now if I go back to my archive folder here, now I have this list, which I don't care about, and here's my PPJ file. I can open up the room now. I could send this to somebody else too, and whether they or not they had the same database, it wouldn't matter. So it'll open up. Behind here again is another window. If I click up here, I'll get it. Switch to, and it says, is this where we're putting it OK? It's always OK. Say OK. Room edit. Modify data. And that comes down here. There's my model. Gee, all this works pretty good. Okay, guys. Well, I think I'll quit right here. And you all can work on this. Let me know if you have troubles.